Starting now.
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks for confirmation. So guys, so what actually yesterday is covered is regarding the UI automation, like how important is the selectors, right? So we have two types of selectors. Two types of selectors. Right? Two types of selectors. One is full selectors, and there is partial selectors. And full and partial selectors. So what actually the difference between full and partial selectors? We will look into that and going further. And uh, why the selectors are important? Selectors are important in order to identify the UI objects, whatever we have, or UI elements, whatever we have on a website. So let us consider you have an application. For now, forget about like whether it is a desktop application or a web application. Both are same, right? And inside of this is your application page, right? And inside of this, you will have elements, multiple elements, right? This is an application page. And these are elements. So all these elements, we can see these elements visually, right? With our eyes, how the robot can do or how the programming can get to know. So it is only because of the selectors. Selectors is nothing but HTML and CSS code, whatever is behind of your interface, whatever you're looking at. So this we call it as selectors, right? And let us understand in terms of these page selectors, how these partial and full selectors will come. So let us suppose you have an application. This is your web page or a desktop screen, right? This is going to be your web page or a desktop screen. And inside of the screen, like let us suppose if you consider this element and consider this is a button. Okay. And this button will have a selector with name. These are the attributes, right? Let us suppose submit button. And you'll be having an ID. Let us suppose BTN submit. Let us say these are the attributes we will be having inside of our selectors in order to identify this element, right? But you'll be having a selector for this page also, right? In a similar way, like you can say chrome.exe in case if you are working on Chrome. In case if you are working on a desktop application, you'll be having the desktop application name. Let us suppose this was the Microsoft whiteboard, right? So this way you'll be having it as Microsoft whiteboard. So this is going to be your application level selector. So when you have the application level selector plus element selector combined, this will be called as full selectors. When you have only for element selector and you doesn't have the application selector, okay, and you doesn't have this, and this we will call it as a partial selectors. So not only the application, not only this application, you'll be having selector for even each and every element inside of this application selector as well, application as well. So the combination of application level selector or page level selector and the element level selector will be called as full selector. And only if you are considering element selector, then we will call it as a partial selectors. So this is the major difference or differentiator you can say between the application selectors and like full selectors and partial selectors. So this is how we generally do the automation, right? So this is a classic way of doing this. And let us consider you are working with a modern way of selection working, right? So we have classic and modern. So you have two types of things. One is classic and modern. So what will happen in each? See, modern in the sense it's not completely new, but it is in terms of UiPath, it is new because the classic we have from the initial days where we are going to work with selectors directly. Okay, but in the modern, it is new in the UiPath, which is introduced in 2021 version. This is started from 2021 version. And here we will not directly deal with the selectors. We are not going to directly deal with the selectors here in the modern modern design. So how we are going to automate our applications in the modern design? And now, if you see our 2024 latest version, this classic is deprecated. You can see the activities, but it is got deprecated, and very soon going further, this is going to be completely removed out of the UiPath. That's how the deprecation phasing out will happen. Deprecation in the sense it will not be available because there is a couple of advantages with the modern design. For that reason, the product wants to encourage everyone to use the modern design. So they started deprecating this classic. So I suggest like everyone should be hands-on with the modern design so that like you'll be in line with the new requirements, right? And let us understand what actually the modern design and how the modern design got evolved. So there is a concept called as phase object model, POM. Phase object model. So what will happen in this phase object model? So when you're dealing with phase object model, let us consider this is going to be your application interface. Okay. And this is your phase. And you have multiple elements in this. Okay. So here for each and every element or each and every phase will be considered as an object here. So this page is going to be one of my object. And this is at page level. And this is going to be another object. This is an object or element, I can say. So here each and every element, like either it's a button or a text box or whatever it is you're seeing at your screen is considered to be an object. And based on this, the automation will begin. And what we will be having behind the scenes, even in these objects, even if you work with the objects, object is nothing but it is capturing your selectors. See, end of the story, your bot will identify the UI elements only with the selectors. But here, instead of directly using the selectors, we are creating these objects in order to automate our applications, right? And these objects will have these selectors available. And what is the advantage? See, end of the story, you are using same selectors, and why you're creating objects and why you're using it, right? That will be a question for anyone, because end of the story, you are doing the same thing. Then why do you need this separate object kind of notation? So you have done your automation. Okay, you implemented your automation. You implemented your automation, and what happened is you have used 100 activities, which means you have 100 steps created in your workflow. And now let us suppose you worked on some web application. Let us take the application to make my trip. So you have automated on make my trip application, and suddenly there is a change in the application. Because it's not in our control, right? Like the company can change their website anytime or some modifications on the website. So in that case, what will happen is our automation will fail. What we need to do? We need to go back. We need to go back to these 100 activities and change the selectors. Right? We need to go back to 100 activities and we need to change the selectors and we need to validate the selectors. So that is one of the challenge what we are going to get in case if any changes happen to your target application. Target application in the sense on which application we are doing the automation. Okay, so we need to go for that. But in case if we are using page object model or object repository, what will happen? When I am working with an object repository and page object model, I'll have all the objects at one place throughout your automation. It's not necessary for me to go back to these all activities and do that. And I just need to simply update the objects. Automatically, these changes will get reflected in our activities so that it will be easy for us in order to update our selectors in an automation, so that like it will be a very time saving and efficient way of handling UI elements inside of our automations. So this is how the advantage of object repository will play a crucial role in terms of our UI automation. Okay, and let us see how the hierarchy looks like. See, the hierarchy is very simple, like similar to what we have. You have an application. Right? And inside of it, you have a screen in the sense page, right? Screen 2. You have different pages, right? And inside of this, you'll have element 1, element 2, element 1, element 2. So this is how the structure looks like in an object repository. So first you have an application. You have an application, and inside of that you have 2 screens, and then inside of that you have an elements. So this is how the structure of an object repository looks like. And this is completely based on the page object model. If you see here, you have an application, and inside of that you have a page, and inside of that you have objects. So that's the reason for which we call it as a page object model. And let us get into UiPath Studio, and we will see what actually we are trying to do. And before that, I want to cover one more point. So we have covered about the full selectors and partial selectors in the previous class, right? In yesterday's class, we covered full and partial selectors. And now let us consider a different type of differentiation in the selectors. Strict selectors and fuzzy selectors. So what is the difference between these two? So if you remember, whenever we are talking about the selectors, it needs to be matched with the application. Whatever we have captured, and that should be available on the application in order for the programming or a bot to identify those elements, right? And let us suppose a slight change happened in the application. So your selector was supposed to be BTN submit, and that is got changed to button submit. So this is the older one, and it has got changed. And every time for a small change, again, if we need to go back to our code and if we need to modify, that is something time consuming and looks to be a bit odd, right? So here we have two kinds of categorization here. The strict selector is it requires the 100% of the selector match. Whereas the fuzzy selector, how it looks is what is the most matching. So let us suppose you have other elements as well, BTN login, and you have BTN sign up. If you consider all these, right, in all the scenarios, this is holding the most. This holds the most possible match because the submit, most of the characters are matching. So this will be very close to what was supposed to be. This was supposed to be, and this is going to be very close to this. Even if you have the login, even if you have the sign up, but the submit is looks to be very close. So what will happen is the bot will easily identify this is going to be my expected element. So it will take the closest match of an element, and it will not look for 100%. So these two categorizations are came into the picture along with the modern design in order to identify the closest element in order for us to automate. Like, yes, in classic design, right? If this changes occurs and your automation is going to fail, and you need to re-update your selectors. But here, even if you go with a strict selector, this will fail. But if you go with fuzzy selectors, this will work 100%. So this is the one more advantage we have with the modern design concept, this strict and fuzzy selectors. Okay. So let us go back to the UiPath Studio and we will see. And meanwhile, if you have any queries on this, like you can ask me that before the application opens.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I do have one question. Is object repository is a part of modern design or it's a classic design?
Which one?
I'm asking, object repository is a part of modern design?
Yes. Object repository you will be having only in the modern design. You will not have the same in the classic.
Thank you.
Okay. So now let us come back to this project settings. You see here, the modern design experience is enabled to be S, right? And now I can easily create our objects in the object repository. Whatever the objects we want to create, that we are going to create in the object repository panel. So let me change this to disabled. And see, I'll tell you guys, and the version which I'm using is 23.10 because it's an enterprise, it's not got upgraded. But if you are using the community version, and which will be 24.3 or 24.4, which is going to fail. It's 12th, right? Today's date is 12th. So you'll be having 24.3 community version, and it is going to fail. Sorry, this will not be available. You cannot see this toggling button for the modern design experience because they completely removed it. Because I still have the 23.10 version, and they didn't push, and this is also enterprise version, right? So that's the reason for which there is no auto upgrade available. But if you are going with the community edition, you will not see this enable or disable option of modern design. Can you quickly check someone and confirm if you have it or not?
Yeah, yesterday also we have faced the same situation. Like I thought of just showing this particular feature,
Okay.
but we are not able to see that. Yeah.
Yes. With the latest versions, that was got completely phased out and deprecated, and you will not see this disabling of the modern design going further. And for now, a time being, just for your clear understanding for yourself, I'm just disabling it. If you see here, right, your recordings are like changed, and in the modern design, you'll have only one. And object repository, previously, I could able to see the creation possibility, but now see, I doesn't have anything here. I cannot do that. To enable the upgrade your automation package and enable modern design experience. So without having the modern design enabled, you cannot create this objects and object repositories. Okay. So let me go back and change it to modern. See here, you have only one recorder, app or web. So this is kind of unified automation, unified targeting method, or unified recording, or unified activities for both desktop and web applications. Instead of like having a separate activities or separate recordings available for the desktop and the web applications, here they made it uniform. Okay, now we can create our UI objects, and also we can create the UI libraries. We'll come back to this UI libraries in very soon, but let us first understand this UI objects. And if you remember here, I mentioned the structure, right? So you'll be having application screen, right? So can someone suggest me any good application?
You can use make my trip.
Sorry,
Make my trip only. That was an example.
see, I'm sorry, I could not able to hear it properly. Can someone drop in the chat message?
Make my trip. That application.
He said, make my trip.
Let
my
just give me a moment, guys. I'll just keep my headphones. I'm not
The
able to hear
same
properly.
example we took before.
Make my trip. Okay, perfect. I don't have account in Make My Trip, but let me see. Can someone talk? Like, I just want to confirm that like I can hear you guys.
Yes. Hello. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Just give me a moment. Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Having some problem. 1 second, guys. Okay. Second, can you just talk for a while? Just wanna hear and confirm.
Yeah, can you hear us? Is it audible?
It's not coming from me. Okay, that's fine. No worries. So someone wants me to go to the Make My Trip. Let me come here. So what I'll do is I'll just come here and I'll capture all the objects like from which place to which and date, and then I'll search and I will go to the next place and we will just get all the details back. So we will consider in this one. So if you by considering this application hierarchy, let us create an application first. Under the project UI descriptors, we are going to create the objects. Create an application. Without having an application, you cannot capture the elements. Capture elements, it will automatically get created. But in case if I try to create, right, it is first asked for the application. Without having an application, I cannot manually create an object. So let me create this. Make my trip. Create an application. And now I need to create a screen. To come here, it is saying that create a screen. Either it will ask us to capture the elements or create a screen. When we capture the elements, automatically the screen will be get created. So first let me create a screen. Home screen. Which is nothing but your web page, right? And we need to identify it. See, in the similar way, what you have done yesterday, in the similar way, we will be identifying the elements or the screens. So I identified the screen, and this is going to be my home screen, and create a screen, right? And now I can create an element now. I can capture the element. So let us create an element. First, let us capture the elements, and then we will create the elements. Capture the elements. What I will do is, I can select this by clicking on this recording. After clicking on this recording, I can select all these elements, right? So I'll stop it. I doesn't want to go with it. I'll just click on capture all elements. See this. Now it can identify all the elements required for you, right? And you can select whatever you want to have, right? But this is one thing which I want to have, but I doesn't have. So this is one thing I need to have, and I doesn't have. So I'll just do one thing. Deselect all. Okay. And now I can just select whatever the elements is required. And here search is required for me. I can just select and click on capture. Only that element will be available for me. Okay. Click on OK. And this name I can change. Search flights. Save and continue. Okay. Now I'll just save this. And now what I'll do is I'll just manually add one after the other elements. Create an element. I can say from city, and I'll identify the element. And here where I am going to identify the element. And if you see here, right, we have auto. The framework is auto, but you can change the frameworks. Let us suppose you are working with a legacy application. In that case, we will take this active accessibility. Like in case if we could not able to identify any elements, we will change these automation framework like UI frameworks, and then we will try it out. And let us suppose even after that also it is not working for you. And we'll click on the show all CV elements. Now it will use the computer vision. This is how it works. Okay. And for now, I'll take this. And if you see here, right, it is saying Delhi from Delhi and Delhi Airport, India. And sometimes it can be a different as well, right? So I doesn't want to get fixed, right? But this is going to be a fuzzy selector, but that is fine. And I'm enabling strict selector as well. And it is saying that it is from city input. See this here, you doesn't have the name or anything. It is simply saying that from city input. So we need to enter the city and we need to have the input. And we have the anchor as well. If I come here, this is going to be my anchor. Anchors generally, see, if you could not able to identify any stable element or some element selectors are not identifiable. In that case, what we will do is we will find an anchor and then we will refer to this element. That's how the anchor mechanism will work. But here in modern design, when you capture the objects, automatic anchoring is available. It can automatically identify the anchor. And let us suppose I doesn't want to have this anchor. Let me delete. Even then also it is showing me green. And if I click on validate, it is showing me green, right? Let me uncheck the strict selector and click on validate. It is working, but I doesn't want to have the Delhi. So I have a stable selector and strict selector. So I'll go with this. I can have both checked. And first it will look for the strict selector and then it will go for the fuzzy. And I can click on confirm. Okay. Click on save. And now I'll add one more element, which is toCity. I'll go with the strict and I'll just, I can uncheck, but I doesn't want to have the anchor. I'm just deleting it. But in some scenarios, if you want to have an anchor, you can have it. Okay. Click on save. And now I'll keep the date same. I don't want to make it much more complicated and it will click on search. So this is what I want to do and it will be navigated to a second page and then we will create a second screen and then we will see. Okay. And now I'm just going with use application or browser. In the classic design, you'll have I'll show you these activities as well. How to see the classic, even this is a modern design project, right? How to see the classic activities. Under this filter, you can just need to check enable this classic so that you'll have this UI automation activities. When you work with the browsers, you have attached browser, open browser, okay, and attached window. So attached window for the desktop and attached browser is for the web application. So we have different activities for each and everything, right? We have anchor based, but here it is inbuilt. And so for desktop or the browser, see, use application or browser. So it is working for both, right? And here, either you can indicate directly from here, or else what you can do is you can just simply see this is my screen. I can drag and drop here. And now it captured everything. And in case if you want to modify this, you can modify the URL. But for that, it should not be with the object repository. In case if you want to make your selectors dynamic, or you want to make pass any variables in terms of URL or anywhere, you cannot keep that with the object repository. In that case, you need to right click on this and it's not here, right? Yeah, it will be here. Unlink from the object repository. If I click on this unlink from object repository, this will be separate. It will not be tagged to this. And from here, you can pass whatever the variables you want to have and all. Now again, we will link. Reuse. So it is saying that it is already available. Do you want to reuse or you want to create new? I will reuse the existing. So now the home screen is get reflected. And now I want to enter the from city. So I'm just dragging and dropping and I'm not taking any activity as of now. From here also we can select and we need to go for the type into, right? I'll select it. By default, it is coming. And I need to type the toCity also. It is not renamed. Let us see. If you see here, right? Home screen. Whatever the name I have given to the object, the activity is renamed to that. Best practice is that like we need to rename all the activities. So when I use the object repository, the same name is coming here. Type into. And let me take one more type into activity. Here it is. And I'll get the new element, which is toCity here. Right? This is toCity, but it is coming as a new element. I doesn't like the name. What I will do is I'll just come here and I'll edit element and I'll say toCity. Click on save. It didn't got rename. I'll just drag and drop it. Not working out. Okay. Let me go to the type into toCity. Now it is coming as toCity. And here I will be typing and now I'll go for search flights. I'll click on the button. I will select the click button. Simple. Now my UI automation is ready. And now I need to type the city names. So let me take the names. Right? I need to click on this. Or else it is not working, right? So we need to click on that as well. I'll select this Hyderabad. And we need to click, right? I'll take the click activity and I'll indicate on the home screen. This is going to be my element. Confirm. So I got the activity got created, and there is no object here because I directly identified it. And let us check the selectors, right? I want to check this selector. For that, I'll go to the properties, and in the target I have, right? I'll go to the strict selector. It is giving a lot of nonsense, right? And even in the fuzzy, it is saying that name is Hyderabad, and this looks to be much more better than the strict selector, right? I'll re-identify it. Indicates target on screen. Let us take in this. Instead of having only the name, right? Let us consider everything. And whatever the first suggestion is coming, that we are going to select. If we go to here, even that is also list options. So we will go with the fuzzy selector for now. So we just need to be very clear which selector we want to take. Either it is a fuzzy selector or either it is a strict selector. So we need to just think of like which is most possible occurrence going further. We need to foresee that. And now we selected it, right? And now here we are not passing any variables here because whatever the first suggestion we are getting, we are taking it up, right? So you have this icon, right? Let me increase the screen size. You have this icon, right? And once you click on this, element name, you can just simply say from city. Select. Right? Click on finish. If you see here, and I want to rename this because I doesn't want to have this click option. I already given the select, right? Click on save. Even from after identifying also, we can create the object. In the similar way, we will travel to Delhi. So this is New Delhi. We'll come here. We'll use the click activity again. And we will identify this Delhi. Whatever suggestion you are coming. See, before clicking on this confirmation, we need to validate this and we need to check whether we are getting as expected or not. Okay. Click on confirm. And we will create a new object here. New Delhi. Select. Instead of that, we'll say to city select. Click on finish. So now I created all my objects. And now what I'll do is there are some options here. Right? In the UI automation, if you consider this application, if I go to the properties, here close and open options are there. I doesn't want to close because I have one more page which is going to come up. So I'll keep it as another. And open. If not opened, I will open. If it is opened, I doesn't want to open. Always in the sense it will open another instance. So for now, what I'll do is if not open. Okay. And resizing. I always keep it as maximize. Now we will run this particular execution and we will see. Run file. Maybe it's not typing right now. Let us say it is going to fail, I guess. Let us wait for the failure message. Yes. Came till this to city, but it didn't type. Oh, here we didn't give anything. Okay. We will write Delhi.
New Delhi, right?
Sorry?
New Delhi, right?
That is fine. If you type right, it will give you the suggestion, right? Anyhow, and we are selecting it from suggestions. So let me run this and see. Automatically it is getting open, so we need to click on some date here. So we will select the some automatically click, but it is we need to select the date, right? It should not be assisted by us. So now we need to select the date, and by default when we select this, it is getting open. So now we will select some date. We have a lot, so we'll go for the strict. And this CVV CSS tags are coming, right? The CSS tags are not reliable, and we have IDX also. So let us go back and let us go to the UI Explorer. Now we will see name is 13, inner text is 13, date inner cell. We'll select all this visible text, and I'll remove this CSS and we'll see. Validate. This got validated, and let us see. I have an IDX. I don't want to have any IDX. So for that reason, what I can do, I'll go a level up and I'll see. Okay. Date picker. This is fine. I'll go level up. See here. I have a label. I'll select it. I will uncheck. I'll check this and I'll select it and I'll remove the CSS cell. If you see here, right, I'm getting the date. So I can pass on this date going further so that like it will automate as a variable so that it will always select that particular required date. Click on save. Now I'll remove this fuzzy selector. I doesn't even require this computer vision because I doesn't want to fix on a number. Now it is unique. Click on confirm. And now we got it. And here in the properties, we'll go to the strict selectors. Right here in the name or inner text and the date, we are going to pass it a variable. And for now, I selected on 13. I'll select 15 here. But what is the day for 15? 15 is not Saturday. It is on Monday, right? I'll just change this to Monday. And I'll change all these 13 to 15. Okay, let me click on validate. It is validated. Perfect. Click on save. And now let me come back.
Here can.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm asking here, can we use asterisk over there? Instead
No,
of...
no. If you use the asterisk, right, it will go into the confusion because a lot of dates are there, right? So you need to be very clear about on which date you want to travel. So it should be always a variable or a fixed date, right? Let us suppose if you are getting as an input from outside, you need to keep a date. Either it can be 15 or it can be 20, something like a week after this date. So based on that, you need to manipulate your data and then you need to pass it as a variable. If you keep asterisk, it will fail because it doesn't know which number it needs to pick and it will take the IDX and it will click on next available number. That's not the right way. Let me run this. See, it identified 15 and it clicked on search. And the next page was received, right? So now we need to identify and we need to create one more screen, right? For that, we click on this and we'll click on create screen. Search results. And we will indicate the screen. Create. And now from here, we need to extract the data again. What I want to do is I want to get whatever the latest flight I have, flight name, time, and these details, right? So let me take the table extractor and we'll go with select data and export. I'll identify it. It identified next name, right? All the next names are got identified. Perfect. And I want to take the start time. And I'll say the destination time and I'll take the price. So we got only 2 columns. I need to get one more column as well. Click on OK. So these are my details which I want to have, and I got able to get all the data. Click on confirm. Oh, okay. Destination time. Price. Start time. Flight name. I doesn't want to go for multiple pages, so I'm clicking on save. So the data is got extracted. And I want to convert this to an object. Here, it is not going to. When you select this, right, it will not allow. When you select the screen, it is allowing, right? Click on finish. If I come here, I have the object. So now let us come here and let us write what we have. See, forget, don't think of this. What are the syntaxes? It is much more easy. I'm just for time being, I'm just writing just to showcase what we extracted. We will cover maybe going further. And it is extracted to the table, and I'm trying to get the values and print it out. So I'll just printing the first, whatever the flight name we have, and we will see how it works. Okay, and here, right here, I need to get the screen. It is automatically got created, so I'm just dragging and dropping it. So I got the everything under objects only. I automated everything with the objects. I'm closing this and I'll run this now. And here, what I will do is I'll just keep this closed. Open never, because I need to complete the previous operations, and I'll close always. Once it is done, I doesn't want to have this application to be open. So let us see whether it printed the data. Yes, it printed all the data, Indigo, Air India, Indigo, Vistara, and everything. So we got the data. Correct. And there is one more option here. Let me do one. Just check it out. How many did we got? We got around so here last we have one. The above one. To remove 2, 31. We got 33 here, right? Let us do one more thing. What I will do is I'll just change the WebDriver mode. So you have multiple WebDriver modes. I'll just keep headless. And I'll keep headless. Because of this modern design and object repository only, this headless comes into the picture. And now it doesn't have any data. And let me run this right. So it is not accepting, but in some applications it will accept. So I'll remove it. So in some cases it will not accept. So generally headless is something that like it will not even open your browser. Okay, but now let us focus on this. And now we created all the objects and we automated and it is working fine. See, there is an option icon here, right? If you see, extract as UI library project. So let me click on this. And we'll have make my type trip.descriptors and click on create. Yes. And we have all these objects created and we extract it as a new library project. And let me do one thing. Let me click on publish. Publish. So it got published. Okay. It is published to my downloads and you can do this even to orchestrator as well. Okay. And let me create a new project. I'm just keeping the name as blank process only. See, my object repository is empty. I'll go to manage packages under the downloads. Make my trip.descriptors. I'll click on install, save. See here, I got all the objects, whatever we created there. And I can do the automation here in the new project as well. And let us suppose, and what is the advantage of these UI libraries? We are exporting all these objects to a library, and these activities will help us. Whatever the object libraries what we have, we can use these libraries across multiple projects. And let us assume you have 10 projects running on one application. Right? And suddenly there is change occurred on that application. There is some change occurred on that application. So we cannot go to all these 10 projects. So generally what we need to do in that case, you need to go to all the 10 projects. And inside of each project, let us suppose if you are using 20 actions, you need to go to all these, which is 220 into 10, 200 activities. You need to update 200 activities. But in case if you're going with this UI library, what will happen is I'll update the library, which is 20 action at 20 objects. I'm going to update these selectors and then I'll republish. And once I upgrade the package, everything will be updated here back. Because I'll show you the reason. If I come here, let me open the previous project, which we implemented. Modern design object repository. We have this screen, right? Let me identify this screen instead of make my tool. Edit screen, edit application descriptor, cancel. Yeah, indicate on new application. I'll just select this. Click on OK. So see here, automatically got reflected here. So whatever we are updating here, it will automatically get reflected in all the activities wherever we are using these descriptors. So once the package is upgraded, it will be upgraded even in the newer projects as well. So this is how the modern design and object repository and UI library is going to help us. So now we are open for the questions. If you have anything, let us go for it. Hello? You guys are there or?
Yeah,
I have a
yes.
question. Is
Yeah.
page object model and object repository are synonymous, or it's a different thing?
Same, both are same. See, page object model is actually we have it in Selenium, where we will be creating pages as a classes and elements as an objects, and that is the methodology and which is drawn to build this object repository. Both are same. The names are different. That's it.
Okay.
See, how can we use object repository with RE framework? See, it doesn't matter whether you are working with RE framework or a flowchart or a sequence or any custom framework. You'll be by default having these objects available. Wherever you are using these UI activities, there you can just use these objects instead of selectors in the activity. It doesn't matter whether you are working with RE framework or anything.
In the selector, we can see computer vision also. No?
Yes.
So what we will get by selecting that computer vision?
So let us suppose you are working on images, or if you are working on Citrix environment where you cannot identify the elements, right? Other than it is very hard for you to find a button element or something. So in that case, you will be using computer vision, which is like image-based targeting and kind of image-based native automation, you can say.
And initially you select a strict and a fuzzy both as well. No? So if you select what we call 3 selectors, so like how can we know that like which one we are using in the further, or else is there any?
See, you can just go to the edit descriptor and you can see there.
Okay.
No, not second. One second. Not there. 1 second. I'll just come back here. Your question is, let me reiterate your question. Your question is, let us suppose for this particular object, what type of selector we are using, right?
Yes.
If I come to the properties, go to the target.
Your screen
Yeah.
is not visible. Like we
Okay.
can see.
Yeah, let me share this. Yeah, for this, you want to see like whether we are using strict or fuzzy, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me come here. Targeting nets. Here it was checked, right?
Okay.
I can uncheck this, whatever I doesn't want to.
Okay. Fine.
Under this targeting methods, you can select and deselect.
Thank you.
Okay, addition to that question, so you have selected the Hyderabad for a fuzzy selector, right? So as you said, like if you go for the 100% result, we will go for the strict only, right? So why we have selected the fuzzy selector on that case?
No, it's kind of like I want to showcase both how we can use only say fuzzy, only strict, and this I want to showcase.
Okay. Okay, fine.
Any more questions, guys?
Yeah, I think before just closing our session, can we just open? Can we just stop the recording?
Sure, I'm just stopping the recording.